Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. Okay, Haikyuu, episode 16. I'm so excited. I know last episode it was kind of farmed out to an alternate animation studio, and I know that Twitter was abuzz with all the memes we've talked about in the last episode. It is what it is. I'm not happy about the pacing of it. I think they crammed a lot into that episode, and I'm really hoping that they slow down the pacing and let us because the great thing about Haikyuu is that you just enjoy it. It's slow, it's intense and packed with action, but it's not something that's like just bam, bam, bam. It's like, no, we want to enjoy the match. We want to enjoy the character development. And while there were parts of the last episode I really liked, I do feel like they crammed a lot in that one episode. So I'm hoping that they slow it down just a little bit for the rest of the season. Let us savor this match and savor Haikyuu being back. So I'm excited for episode 16. The Inarizaki match is in full swing. I think it was 18-18 when we left off, or it was something very similar. So we're almost to the end of this set. This set could end this episode, which is exciting. So see who wins this. As always, at the end of the episode, I'm going to do a non-spoiler kind of discussion, and then we'll go into spoiler corners, because after I watch this episode, I'm going to go back and read the manga chapters and catch up and see if we missed anything. As far as these getting uploaded, I know I said Haikyuu Monday, but man, it's hard to wait. Last Monday, I didn't have a choice. I had to upload it Monday for episode 15, but let's just say Haikyuu weekend. So it may be Saturday when the episode's uploaded. It may be Sunday. It will be Monday at the latest, but it may be one of those 3 days. It just depends on scheduling and getting the episode out and all of that. So apologies for it not being consistent with Haikyuu. Everything else I review and react to on this channel, I've pretty much got a consistent schedule for. But Haikyuu is one of those things. Sometimes you just can't wait. You just got to get it out there. So the full-length reaction will be on Patreon, but down below is the link to the actual reaction part of it, and then you can come back and we'll do the discussion after that. But with that being said, I'm so excited for this episode to jump back into Haikyuu. I hope you all are too. Thank you all for watching, and we're going to jump into this episode here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. All right, we are back. Okay, so cats versus monkeys next episode with Nekama. So we're just shifting gears a little bit. Interesting. That is the end of one set between Inarizaki and Krasno. So if you were going to switch perspectives at any point, now would be the time to do it, because you've got one set out of the way. I'm glad Haikyuu is back to top form. Oh man, Tanaka, this episode. It's funny because we don't think about Tanaka, you know? He's Mr. Average. He is just the bread and butter guy on the team. And it's the ones that are like the most bread and butter, like meat and potatoes types of players that aren't flashy, that you don't think about, that are really important to the team. It's kind of like with Shiratorizawa. Shirabu said, I want to be the setter that stands out the least. And he was. But he was very competent at what he did. So, and that's what made that's one of the things that made Shiratorizawa really good, was that Shirabu was okay with being this average setter, even though he wasn't. He was actually really a strong player. And that's kind of like how Tanaka is in this. And I love that Inoshida and the second years bring up that Tanaka is the only second year that never quit. He's the only one that stayed when things got really tough. Like Inoshida, Kinoshida, and Narita, they all quit at one point and then slowly came back onto the team. Nishinoya got suspended and he quit the team because of his fight with Azumane. But Tanaka stayed with it. And I forgot about that. And it's like, yeah, Tanaka is the straightforward, honest player that he's just going to do good as best as he can. He's not out to be sneaky or sly or talk, crap with his teammates. He's just going to go and do the thing. And it was so hard at some points in this episode, because like when Azumane got the ball and Tsukishima blatantly, I know Tsukishima was making the safe play, but that was rough when Tanaka called out for the ball and Tsukishima just shut him down, was like, nope, not going to send it to you because you're probably not going to hit it over. But it just like, what a blow to your pride. But that moment after Azumane gets the ball, Tanaka could have complained. He could have yelled at Tsukishima, but no. he's just like, good job, awesome, go team, and just keeps rolling with it, you know? And he touches on something that's really, really kind of important here, in the fact that he says like every 6 months or so he gets down. Like Tanaka has some depression. Like he gets down on himself and, you know, really hits himself hard. And none of the other players really think about him like that. They're like, oh, he's just this tenacious guy and he's always go-getting and everything. And he's like, no, deep down he kind of is self-aware of how people see him. And it's really sad in that moment when he's having the scene running up the stairs and he's talking about how he lets himself get down on himself. It's like, it's like, that's awful, because everybody likes Tanaka, and it's just kind of the reality of, yeah, people go through that. People can get depressed and feel bad about themselves even when others around them don't see that. You know, they don't know why you would feel that way, and that's kind of how depression is. So that's it's heartbreaking. Broken heart indeed. And then, but the mountain in front of him, and going back to Ukai's words, like, volleyball's a sport where you're always looking up. You don't look down. He's like, and I love they tell Tsukishima, he's like, well, once you hit bottom, you can only go back up. Like, that's so good. That's so good. I'm really glad that Mika and Daisho are back in this, giving commentary. I like that Daisho has the perspective, because he was team captain. He was Nohebi's team captain, and he was a third year, so he has all this volleyball experience to tell her about the sport and be like, he can identify plays, kind of like what Oikawa did in the last season. He can kind of identify moments and be like, yeah, this is why this is like this. Rintaro is terrifying. He's such a scary blocker, and there's some moments in the animation that were so good, like his like wide-eyed, just like lynx like appearance, and the shot where he tried to block Tanaka's cross shot. The animation of that cross shot, so good. Like, it's just really good. And the volleyball, the animation for this game is like, the volleyball, it's just so fast. Everything is like, the movements are so like sharp, and I really like that we brought that back this episode. We didn't get a lot of the Mia twins, although I love Osamu being like, you owe me a pudding, and not the cheap 3-pack, like a legit pudding. Because of course Atsumu would buy him like cheap food to like make it up. He'd be like, yeah, here's your pudding, whatever, and just get like whatever he could find. I love it. So Krasnos won the first set. Barely, but they won it 27-25, so, and we've only got a max of 3 sets, so good to see. But it looks like we're gonna take a breather and go and see what Nekoma's up to, because they are at nationals as well. I love Bokudo and Akashi's commentary. And it makes so much sense, because Bokudo, of all the players that we're seeing on the sidelines, Bokudo is Fukurodani's ace, and he can identify the most with Tanaka, who probably is going to end up being the ace after Asahi retires. I mean, he's next in line. So, and this episode kind of shows that, yeah, he can do that. He's not ever going to be 6 foot tall, but you know what? Awaizumi wasn't really either. So, and Awaizumi was kind of their ace, so you don't have to be 6 foot to be the ace. Just saying. But, oh man, this episode was so good. So exciting. And so I'm so happy for Tanaka. The childhood friend bit, that part confuses me a little bit, because it's like, is she brokenhearted because she realizes that it's not going to work out between her and him? Or she thinks that anyway? I don't know. That line, like I told y'all, we're going to do manga spoilers, but I've read the manga, and that line always confuses me, like where she said she had a broken heart. So I'm curious what you all think down below. Please, no spoilers, or tag spoilers for those of us that are, those people out there that are just watching this and are anime only. But I'm curious of your all thoughts about that. But yeah, oh man. And then his confession to Kyoko, like on the spot, the confession with Kyoko. The flashback part, seeing him with blonde hair, looking very much like Mad Dog, which is hilarious. But seeing the third years a year before, and when they laugh and they're like, ha, we're wingless crows, haha, and then they get all serious. That's some scary stuff. So anyway, I have some manga spoilers to talk about, but this episode was great. I'm curious your thoughts below. If you want to stick around for spoilers, please do. But otherwise, I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week next week. this will be posted this weekend sometime, but I'm excited. We're back with Haikyuu. It's back, baby. Episode 17 next week, Cat versus Monkeys. Should be a lot of fun. So, in the meantime, unless you're staying for spoilers, have a great week. Stay safe and take care. And for the rest of y'all, we're going to talk about some spoilers. So, spoiler corner. If you want to stick around for spoilers, here we go. Went back through the manga. Some things left out. The pacing for this, we went through chapters 260, 260, 261, 263, 262, 263. We went through 5 chapters. So, 1 chapter less than last episode. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, the pacing is still too much. They're cutting a lot of stuff out. They're cutting out some things. One thing they cut out from this episode I was okay with. The other one I'm still like... But they moved a lot of stuff around this episode. They really framed this episode in a very specific way. And I'm okay with how they framed the episode. It's just if you read the manga and you go back and look at the manga, you're like, man, they moved some stuff around. So, one thing on 260, so obviously the part where Yamaguchi serves and is missed, that part's all the same. But they started the entire episode out with the flashback to the childhood friend. I'm assuming they did that because we cut off the season midway and some people might have forgotten about her. How could you? But some people might have. But so they included her, and then they cut straight to them talking about the conversation with Tanaka afterwards. And so a couple of things were left out of that conversation that I really was like, ugh. One thing being Enoshida at the very end telling Tanaka, he's like, maybe instead of proposing to her every 5 minutes or asking her to be your girlfriend every 5 minutes, you should just talk to her. Enoshida giving sound advice. And so I'm going to show a picture to you guys over here. I'm going to show you guys some manga captions, some manga shots to kind of compare this time around, just to show you what all has been left out or missed. But I really liked that he told Tanaka that, and it's important because later on, like 100 chapters down the road, literally 100 chapters down the road, like in chapter 369 or whatnot, when they're leaving the Kamomedai match, Kyoko's grabbing all her stuff, and Tanaka's like, hey, can I help you carry that? And he has a normal conversation with her. And, spoilers, they get married. The whole time I was watching, I was like, And the whole time I watched people react, I watched Semblance of Sanity, their reactions to Haikyuu, and they're like, oh, the childhood friend Tanaka, they're totally gonna date. And I'm like, no, they're not. And I don't want to tell, it's like, you don't want to tell somebody that, you don't want to tell somebody anime only that, but it's like, oh, y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know. And I've heard some people that are mad that Tanaka ends up getting with Kyoko. I'm not, because that's kind of the point of this whole episode, is Tanaka saying, why should I settle? Just because I have a chance with somebody, does that mean I need to just settle for it? He's like, no. He's like, that's cool that she likes me, but I love Kyoko. And until, as Enoshida points out, until Kyoko tells me to stop or that it's bothering her, I'm still going to talk to her and I'm still going to give it my all, And Tanaka, they make the point, like Kinoshita and Narita are like, is Tanaka going to become a stalker? And Enoshida's like, no, he's going to stop. He's a smart, sensible person. He's going to stop if she tells him to. He's not going to pursue her if she tells him to back off. But, and I like there in the confession originally, she has to think for a second. She's like, no. But yeah, spoilers. He's tenacious, and Mr. Average gets the goddess Kyoko. And it's like to me, it's the most satisfying thing, because them getting married is like, he didn't give up. He didn't settle. He chased his dream, and Kyoko clearly liked him back. And it's like, Mr. Average gets the beautiful goddess. It's like, it's perfect. So I'm all okay with it. I know some people, I think it's fine, but I crack up when the anime only people are like, yeah, he's gonna date that childhood friend. I'm like, well, he may date her, but he's not going to end up with her. So they moved that scene around. And also, they moved a lot of different things around in the episode. Like, they moved certain parts of the match to different things to match up. And I will admit, the pacing of the manga, they include a lot of different things. This episode, I was okay with what they moved around because I don't think I think it still kept the flow of the episode really good. In the manga, there's a lot of stops, and I get that there's a lot of stuff they're explaining and going through, but one of the things they cut out was they've got Daisho and Mika, which I'm glad they kept Daisho and Mika. Again, they're going to be important later on, so I'm glad they've not cut them out. There's another couple that's in this manga that was commenting during the earlier matches at Nationals. They're another volleyball couple. They're not as known as Daisho and Mika, and they kind of serve a similar purpose. So I can see why they cut them out, because it's like, why do you need two couples commentating? I can see why they cut them out. The parts I'm not happy that they cut out are Abajosai. They cut them out twice in this, and I guess they're not going to show us Abajosai, which frustrates me, because it's really funny. One of the parts that I put up here is from chapter 260, and it's Shigeru, who's going to be the new setter after Oikawa has left. Shigeru is getting really into the game, and he's like, "Oh, you scored, yes!" And then he kind of stops himself, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, no, go, good job, Cross. No, cool. I'm just rooting for them because they're the home team. It's the Sendai team, so I'm rooting for the hometown." I love it. I love that Shigeru's getting all into the game, and he's like totally being a Crossno stan, and then the other guys are like, "Are you rooting for Crossno?" And he's like, No, they're just, they're just close to home. The other part that was cut out was after Tanaka makes the line shot. And I get that they didn't want to cut the momentum or break it up, but it's just funny that they include, because Kiyotani during Awajosai's match had that really cool cross shot, and they cut back to him, and he's just sitting there like with his tennis ball hair, like, "Oh, cool, you did it." Like, nothing I haven't done. But I do like what they have added. They included a lot of little extras with Bokudo and Akashi, which I love. Like, Bokudo feigning is actually an extra that happens after the chapter. I love that they included that. I love that they've included all the Bokudo and Akashi interactions. Again, showing that they're going to have the Fukurodani match in the future, and so ready. So ready. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. The other thing I'm really excited about is that I forgot when watching the episode until I went back and read the manga that this is part one of Tanaka's journey. Tanaka's journey in Broken Heart, this is part one where he realizes that, yeah, he's Mr. Average, but it's all right. And you see he looks up in the episode, and there's the big mountain in front of him. And as soon as I saw that mountain in the episode, I was like, oh, yep, I know what we're setting up. I remember now. So what they're setting up is that eventually, in one of the crucial moments of the matches, Kageyama is going to test his faith in his players, and he's going to test his faith in Tanaka, and Tanaka's going to bust through that mountain and make the shot, and it's going to be so sad. If the animation is anything like it was with this cut shot, it's going to be amazing. And if they cut out Oikawa, we all going to riot, because that's such a pivotal moment. I'm telling myself they're not going to cut Oikawa out of that cameo, because Oikawa is so popular in Haikyuu and has such a following. Like, I don't like that they cut out Kiyotani and Shigeru, but they don't have as much of a following as Oikawa. So, and the fact that they've given us models in the official fan art, in the official art of Oikawa in his season 4 design, makes me think they're going to use that. They didn't just make that model for nothing, because it's not even the same as the OP model. Like, they have him in official artwork in his season 4 design. So I'm like, they're going to use that, right? So if they don't, I will flip. But I'm like, they're gonna use it. They have to. It's gonna be such a cameo. I'm ready for all the anime only people to flip out, because I'm gonna flip out, even though I know it's coming. But yeah, other than that, the flashback was pretty much beat for beat. I really had no clue how they're gonna animate the third years laughing and then having the serious, like, Attack on Titan look. Because somebody's made a meme of it looking like Attack on Titan, and that was really good. Like, they pulled that off really well. But yeah, other than that, the very beginning of the episode was actually in the last chapter 264 today. So they just kind of shuffled some things around. So in the end, editing wise, the shuffling around works. The only things they left out were they left out Awajosai's commentary. They left out the one couple. They made like one or two mentions. And then some of the dialogue in the manga was shortened for the episode. Like Daichi's back row set. There is one thing I want to mention. this part right here was actually in chapter 262. I'm pretty sure. And they left out Daichi's back row set. They cut it out. And I was like, they didn't cut out Daichi's back row set, but they cut out, they didn't cut out his spike, but they cut out the lead up to it. And that was Coach Ukai telling them that they were going to switch up some things and do some new things. I've got it here so you guys can see it, but they're basically hinting of what Daichi was going to do, and then he does the back row spike. So they kind of sped that part up, and I was like, I'm glad they included it, because they left Asahi's service ace out of the last episode, and that frustrated a lot of people. So I'm glad that they included this. So pacing wise, I'm glad they're slowing it down a little bit. I think that it's going to speed up if they're leaving out certain bits, like the one couple, and if they're going to leave out certain parts too. But the fact that we're going to Nekoma next, I don't know if we'll spend... I haven't read the manga to see how long the Nekoma parts are. How long is that? I don't know. I'm not going to look it up because I don't want to be spoiled. I want to relive the episode first and then go back and look. But I don't think that we have enough Nekoma chapters to make up an entire episode next time, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong. We might do episode 17 might just be about Nekoma and then we go back to the match. I don't know. They obviously have to set up Nekomas at Nationals because that's going to be important later. And they're doing all these shots with Bokuto and Akashi to set up their characters so that we care about them when we have the Fukurodani match. So, I don't know. I feel like... I hope they do a whole episode of Nekoma next time, but I don't know. So, anyway, overall, this was a great episode. The Tanaka focus is just so good, and I love that this celebration of Tanaka being like, it's okay to be Mr. Average, because you're also Mr. Reliable, Mr. Hardworking, Mr. Honest, Mr. Straightforward, and just an all-around good player. So there's nothing average about that, and I love it. I love it. And I'm so excited to see part 2 of Tanaka's journey when it comes back later on. So all I remember from the next set is set 2 is rough. Set 2 of Krasno versus Inarizaki is rough. Because they come back with a vengeance. They're like, oh, you beat us in this set? Okay. And they come back like hardcore, like, we're going to be straight to business. So I'm glad that we're taking this breather to focus on Nekoma, because once we get back with Krasno, it's going to be an event. So I won't say anything else, guys. Feel free to comment down below. Please tag any spoilers. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching and for joining me with seeing Haikyuu again. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week. Stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye.